Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you are returning, thank you as always for being here. You are incredibly important to me. I am super excited because we are starting with fall crafting today. So let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting. DIY number one. All right, this is from the Dollar Tree. It's a little acorn. At least I think it's from the Dollar Tree. The only other place that it might have been from was Michael's when they had a big sale a couple of years ago. My sister picked up a bunch of stuff. I think this is Dollar Tree though. And I've got my Java chalk paint and my Adirondack white chalk paint, and I am going to mix them. My goal is to try to get a lighter kind of caramel brown. When I mixed the Java and the white, it ended up being more like a gray. So I've added in some mustard chalk paint. And this, I was just kind of experimenting here, trying to figure out how I was going to get to the color that I wanted. This is pumpkin. And I'm going to just keep on mixing these colors together. Finally, I was like, let me look at what an acorn looks like. And I was actually surprised that the cap was lighter than the acorn, like the body of the acorn, because I was thinking it was the other way around. So at this point I decided, okay, well, I've gotten this color to a point where I think it'll actually look nice for the little cap. So I went ahead and painted the cap, and I got a little crazy with it, you guys, because I ended up painting the inside as well. So, yeah. So I painted the cap on both sides, including the insides, and then I also painted the base with this color. I just figured it would give a little bit of contrast to the body of the acorn, and yet still complement the paint for the piece itself. So once I had that done, I went back to mixing more colors into my paint because I'm trying to get it to a deeper redder, for lack of a better term, because I noticed that that acorn on my phone that I was looking at had kind of a red tinge to it. So I did get brave and I added some crimson chalk paint to this as well. And so I just made sure that that was mixed together really, really well. You might have noticed that I had also added in some more of the pumpkin and some more of the Java, but I finally got to this color that I was really happy with, and went ahead and painted the rest of the acorn, just being really careful along the edges where it's butting up to the original color that I had painted. And of course, I kind of went to town and painted the inside of this one as well. So here I'm just going really carefully along the edges. I did the sides in the same color. And yeah, I just thought it was really cute. That's the great thing about paint. You can mix your colors together until you get to the shade that you're looking for. I ended up mixing together a whole heck of a lot of paint there. So eventually I stored it into a little secured little storage container, for lack of a better term. But I did actually end up using this paint on some other projects in this video that you will see. Once it was dry, I grabbed out a bunch of florals. These were all from the Hobby Lobby, but I got them on 90% off. I was so excited when I found them. I'm trying to remember what time of year it was. It might have been spring. I honestly don't remember, but they were all something like $10 or $20 originally, and so I got them for like $1 or $2 each, and they're really high quality. So very excited about that. And here I am just pulling them all apart, because if you have followed me for any amount of time, you know that this is what I do so that I can put them back together again. Now I've got some floral foam. I'm going to cut this down so that it fits as snugly as I can manage into that little compartment between the two acorns, and just trying to figure out the best way to cut it down. And here I figured, you know what? I'm going to press it up against that acorn to try and know exactly how much I needed to cut off. I'm dropping some hot glue down in there and then securing this into the bottom. And that way when I'm creating my arrangement, it's not going to be moving on me. It's not going to accidentally pull out, and it'll be nice and secure. So I'm going to start in the middle with some of the longer stems, and I'm going to do a variety. So that's why I went ahead and cut everything apart to begin with, because I'm going to kind of layer this in and just make sure that there's a lot of variety and not a lot of the same flower all clumped together, just because that's the look that I'm going for. So some of them I did end up trimming off a little bit more so that on the edges it would be a little bit shorter than in the middle. That's what I'm going for here. Just kind of a rounded kind of top, so to speak. So you can use any kinds of flowers that you'd like for something like this. Here I've got the leaves that are going down on into the middle. I also use some of the leaves around the base, but let me know what you think. DIY number 2. All right, cute little owl. This is also from the Dollar Tree, and I just think he's adorable. He's been in my stash for a little while. I took off the tag, and then I decided I was going to take off the hanger completely for right now. I am going to use that later on for this piece, but for right now, I'm just going to set it aside so it doesn't get paint all over it. So this is that paint that I had mixed together. And I'm going to paint his little body. I did end up getting some of it on other places, which is not a big deal because I'm going to be painting those with a darker color. For his little beak, I did want to make sure that I was careful not to get any on that because it's going to be a lighter color and I don't want to have to try to use a ton of paint to cover it up. But as you can see, I painted his whole backside the same color of brown, and now I'm going to come in with my Java and my sunny porch, and I've also got pumpkin there. So starting with the sunny porch, I am going to do his little eyes, and I will do more to his eyes later, but for right now I'm just going to fill these in with the sunny porch, completely getting it all along the edge. And then I'm going to come in with the pumpkin for his little beak. And using Java, I know it might look like black on here. It is just the chocolate brown Java color that I'm using around his eyes. And I'm going to use that on his little wings and his feet as well. So just making sure that I am careful not to get any of this on the lighter brown color. And on his feet, I'm kind of just feathering it up. So it almost looks like he's got little feathers coming down over his feet. So there's not like a harsh line between those colors there. Now I do have black, and I am creating the pupils for this little guy's eyeballs. So just being as careful as I can be to make the circles. They are not perfect, but I did the best that I could with my little rounded paintbrush. And then once that was dry, I came in with some Adirondack white chalk paint, and I'm just going to do a little dot there. I don't know if you notice how it just kind of makes his eyes look more alive. It was very flat before I did that, and now it's just brightened up, and I'd put another little dot right there, and it's just the light reflecting in his eyes. So I think he is adorable, but not done yet. I went into my stash and grabbed out a bunch of letters, and you're probably wondering why I have an I and a backwards D there. I didn't have an L or a C, so I'm going to make an L and a C. So I started out with my XOXO knife, but it was going to take me quite a bit of time and effort to try and do that. And I realized that I have this really heavy duty sharp pair of scissors that might work, and it actually did. So I went ahead and used my scissors. I'm trying to be careful there because I don't want to break the part of the D that I need. And it was a little awkward getting rid of the upward bar. I don't know what you would call that as part of the D. But anyway, I cut it out, and now I'm just curving the edges and just getting it to the C shape, because when I first cut that out, it looked more like a G. So just getting my edges curved and just making sure that it looks as much like a C as I can get it. And I think I did a pretty good job with it, if I do say so myself. So once I got the C all done here, I'll move on to the I and making that an L. So there's the C, and now I'm doing the L. Now, I originally thought I was going to cut off all these little nubs and just let it be a lowercase L. But then when I got this far, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll leave that little bump down at the end. Maybe I won't cut that off. And so I opted to do that. And I just figured, you know what? It makes it look even more like an L. So that's what I got going on here. And I'm going to try and position these as best I can so that you can actually read what it's supposed to say, and then also space them out sufficiently. So once I got them all nice and lined up, it was time for me to paint them. I wanted to just make sure that they were going to fit across my little owl friend, and so I'm now using the Adirondack white paint. And then when it was dry, I came back and made sure I was able to line them up again the way that I wanted them. I got a little bit of wet paint on my finger there, so I was just making sure that I wasn't going to be depositing paint on my little brown owl. I think he's so cute. I really do. I'm happy with the way he turned out. And just going to continue to place my letters. I'm not sure why I'm being so careful. Maybe I was afraid that some of it might still be wet. I was definitely checking the letters to make sure that there wasn't any wet paint left, and just making sure that everything is going to look the way I want it. Now it's time to come in with the hot glue and just secure all of these letters to my little owl. And it's like he's holding a little welcome sign. And I think he's adorable. All right, so now we just need the hanger. So I'm taking that same hanger that I had before, just gonna thread it back through, tie it in a knot, and then I'd like to put my knot to the back side just so that it's hidden and clean, and that's it. Let me know what you think. DIY number 3. Okay, this is going to be super quick. This used to have something on the top there. It was $9.99 originally from Michael's, but I got it in a grab box. So it was virtually like less than $1 if you consider everything that ends up in those grab boxes. And $1, is that right? I'm trying to remember. Maybe we paid $20 for those grab boxes. I can't remember. There was a bunch of stuff in there though. So it was not $20, let's just say that. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want to apply here. I have these little flowers that I had selected. And then I'm going to add in some pine cones for my stash. I'm really just trying to decorate the top of this and make it look finished. I did opt to leave that wire for the little pumpkin tendrils around the top, and just using the hot glue to secure everything down. Now, you don't have to do flowers. You could do a bow. A bow would be super cute on this. I just wanted to kind of stick with the theme that I'd been going with my fall flowers. So tucking in a pine cone on either side of here. I do like symmetry, so I'm kind of keeping it symmetrical. And then I've got this cute little pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. It's got knit, almost like a sweater wrapped around it. And then trying to get that little clippy off the bottom, I used my heat gun to loosen up that hot glue. Just be careful because it is styrofoam underneath. And if you keep the heat on it for too long, you'll actually melt the pumpkin itself. So just be wary of that. Securing it with my hot glue and making sure that it's all nice and secure, and making sure that it's not going to fall down. And my goal was really to just avoid covering up that happy for the happy fall. I want to make sure that that is legible still when I'm all done. I was looking at it, I'm like, it needs a little bit something more, and then I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to put some greenery in there. So I've got the little leaves from the floral pick that I had pulled apart and just putting a little dab of hot glue on there and tucking it in to the little gap, so to speak. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well because, again, symmetry. So, but this is such a cute and easy little thing to do. Just make it a little bit more dressed up. And that's going to be it for this project. Super quick and easy. But let me know what you think of this one. DIY number 4. Okay, I have a whole bunch of wood cutouts from the Dollar Tree. I've got leaves and apples and pumpkins and acorns. I had little foxes also, but I decided that I wasn't going to use the fox because I'm also going to be using a little harvest not corrugated. Oh my goodness, I always forget what the name of that. The metal sign. And I actually do that kind of, I try to make things look like that too. It's not corrugated. I know you guys are going to be able to remind me in the comments because it's going to drive me crazy. Hopefully I will remember before the end of this project. But I'm laying out all of the leaves for right now just on some parchment paper because I'm going to be painting them. And I have my pumpkin chalk paint, I have my mustard chalk paint, I have my crimson red. Then I'm also going to be using this. I was not too sure about this salmon colored chalk paint at first, but I decided I was going to go for it because there are some leaves I find that have that kind of pinkish tone to them in the fall. And then I also have the paint that I had mixed earlier that is now in that little storage container with the white lid there. So I'm just dividing up the leaves amongst my various colors. Most of them I'm doing 3 of a color, and then the red and the salmon I only did 2 of each of those colors. After I saw how pretty they were, I was wishing I'd done more of the salmon and the red and maybe less of like the mustard and the orange, only because some of the colors just were a lot more close and had less contrast. So the first one I used was the mustard. This is the pumpkin. The next one I am going to do is the brown color that I had used on the acorn and on the owl. So that color that I had mixed together on my own. This is the crimson. Just making sure I'm getting all of the little pieces. And then this is the salmon color that I have. So I did a couple of the leaves in that salmon color. So once I had them all painted and they were all dry, they weren't dry yet. I moved on to my little apples and acorns and everything. This is fern that I'm using on the little leaves. And then I'm using the paint that I had mixed again for the little stems. So this did take me a minute because I was really meticulous in making sure that everything was as I wanted it. And I didn't just paint everything a single color. Now I could have gone back over the leaves and drawn the veins, but I didn't get that crazy with it. So with the acorns, I am using that mixed color again. Now for the caps of the acorns, however, that was also a mixed color, but it was the shade that I had gotten before I continued to mix it to get the color I'm using now, right? So there wasn't a way for me to go backwards, and I didn't want to mix more paint. So you'll see in a minute what I end up using. But I'm also using this for my pumpkin stems. You could certainly use green for your pumpkin stems, but I opted for the brown. And here I'm coming in with the mustard for my little caps on my acorns. And in between, I was using my heat gun just to help dry this stuff because I'm not the most patient person in the world when it comes to doing all of the painting. I just want it dry so I can continue to craft. This is the pumpkin color being used on the pumpkins, and then I'm going to be using the crimson red on the apples in just a moment. but just making sure that I've got everything nice and covered. I only used one coat of paint on all of these, and it was perfectly fine. So here's the crimson on the apples. I was like off camera, that's why I didn't show you too much of that. And now, once everything was dry, it's time for me to put it together. So it's gonna just be like a little wooden wreath, right? With all of my fall leaves and my harvest, my apples, my pumpkins. I threw the acorns in there. It's not really a harvest crop, but I don't know. It made me happy. So just arranging these in a way that I will be able to glue it all together and have it support itself. So, and I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't duplicating the colors. I wanted to make sure I had contrast all around the wreath. So I didn't have two of the mustards together. I didn't have two of the reds together, and so on and so forth. And just creating as much contrast as I could. So you're gonna see here in a second, I'm gonna swap some of these out to create a little bit more contrast. And then I'm going to add in my little other pieces. So my apples, my acorns, my pumpkins, I'm just going to arrange them. And again, trying to avoid laying the same color on the same color. So it took a little bit of time to kind of finagle it and move things around. But eventually I got it to where I wanted it. So at that point, I was ready to start gluing everything down, I think. I'm trying to remember if there's, oh, here's my harvest. So it's not corrugated. What is that, you guys? Oh my goodness. That's gonna drive me crazy. Because I do that effect with paint sometimes, with the silver and the black and the white and the gray and just, oh my goodness. Yeah, you're gonna have to remind me. But now that I have it all laid out the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing it down. Now, I was thinking that I could do it like a piece at a time, and ultimately I realized I'm going to have to take all of my little harvest pieces away so that I can glue down the leaves first, and then I'll be able to come back in and glue down the apples and the pumpkins and the acorns. So I'm just going to work my way around. I'm keeping an eye on where things are connected. So as I pick up a leaf, see, I'm looking to see where it's touching, and then I'm going to put the glue where I know it's going to be covered and setting it back down again. So just keeping an eye on where it's connecting and putting the glue only in those spots. Because I don't want the glue to be visible. I don't want it oozing out from under the pieces, and I just want it to be nice and neat and clean. Now I can go ahead and put my other pieces back down. Of course, I started reconfiguring at this point. But as I always say, just do what makes your eyes happy, right? Do what makes your heart happy. Do what looks good to your eye. Because it is an art, right? And art is in the eye of the beholder. And this is something that you are creating for yourself. So do what makes you happy. If you want completely different colors or completely different shapes, or maybe you only want to do leaves, whatever it is that makes you smile when you look at it, that is what is correct and right. So going back around and just gluing all these down now that I'm happy with their positioning, and getting everything just so that it'll be nice and secure and solid. And I think this turned out pretty cute, but you'll have to let me know in the comments what you think. And if you haven't already subscribed, I hope that you'll consider doing that and making sure that you ring that bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. I really appreciate the support, and so I thank every single one of you. It always is so fun to hear from you and to get your comments on my videos, so thank you. Okay, the harvest is about to go down. I'm just deciding exactly where I want to put it, and I was checking to see what parts of the sign were touching. Galvanized. Galvanized? Yes, galvanized, right? I think I remembered, you guys. Anyway, goodness. So in all those little packets of the wood cutouts, I think they are really meant to be ornaments. So they had these little pieces of twine. I took 3 of them from the packet. I'm just braiding it together to make a little hanger. I tied it at the top, braided it, and now I'm tying it at the bottom to tie it off. And now I'm just going to glue it down to the back. So just put a nice generous little blob of glue there, tuck it down into that glue, add some more glue over the top of it, so that it isn't going to go anywhere. And did the same thing on the other side. And that's it. So you'll have to let me know what you think of this one. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the project, remember to give me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know which one was your favorite. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.